Alright, let's talk about News America. What exactly does that term mean to you? Is it the bustling newsrooms filled with journalists chasing the next big story? Or is it the digital age where news is at your fingertips, accessible through your smartphone? Now, this could mean two things. It could be the traditional news outlets that have been around for decades, or the modern digital platforms that have revolutionized how we consume information. It could refer to actual news outlets based in the United States of America, those glorious beacons of information, and occasional dumpster fires, that we all know and, let's be honest, sometimes love to hate. These are the institutions that have shaped public opinion and informed the masses for generations. Or, it could mean the news itself, the constant stream of information, misinformation, and everything in between that's about this fine nation. In today's world, news is not just what you see on TV, it's also what you scroll through on your social media feeds. And guess what? We're diving headfirst into both. We'll explore the traditional and the modern, the reliable and the questionable, to give you a comprehensive understanding of what News America really is. Because frankly, they're inseparable. The lines between traditional news outlets and digital platforms have blurred, making it crucial to understand both. We'll dissect the big players, CNN, BBC, Reuters, uncovering their histories, their reach, and how they decide what makes the cut for newsworthy. These organizations have a significant impact on what we perceive as important and how we understand the world around us. We'll also examine the rules they're supposed to play by, those ethical guidelines and journalistic standards that, ideally, keep things at least somewhat factual. These standards are what separate credible news from mere sensationalism. Because let's face it, in the age of deepfakes, Twitter wars, and your uncle's conspiracy theory Facebook group, it's more important than ever to understand how news is made, who's making it, and why. The stakes are higher, and the need for discernment is greater. So buckle up, because things are about to get informative. We're about to embark on a journey through the complex landscape of News America, where the truth is often stranger than fiction. First up, the titans, the heavyweights, the household names, CNN, BBC, and Reuters. These are the giants that have shaped the landscape of news as we know it today. CNN, the OG of 24-hour news, practically invented the concept of breaking news. With its round-the-clock coverage, it has brought us some of the most pivotal moments in recent history. Founded in 1980, it's become a global media giant, albeit one that's faced its fair share of criticism for sensationalism and at times questionable editorial choices. Yet, its influence remains undeniable. But hey, nobody's perfect, right? Despite its flaws, CNN continues to be a go-to source for breaking news and in-depth reporting. Then there's the BBC, the venerable British institution known for its relatively impartial reporting and global reach. It's a beacon of journalistic integrity in a world often clouded by bias. While its primary focus may be across the pond, the BBC's coverage of US news is extensive and often provides a refreshing outsider perspective. Its global network of correspondents ensures that no story goes untold. And let's not forget Reuters, the international news agency known for its factual reporting and commitment to accuracy. In a world of sensational headlines, Reuters stands out for its dedication to the truth. They're like the quiet achievers of the news world, quietly pumping out reliable information without the drama or fanfare. Their reports are trusted by other news organizations and professionals around the globe. These three outlets, despite their differences, represent the vast influence and reach of News America. They each bring something unique to the table, shaping our understanding of the world in different ways. They shape our understanding of events, both domestic and international. And their editorial decisions have a profound impact on public discourse. In an era where information is power, these news giants hold a significant sway over public opinion and the global narrative. Now you might be thinking, but John, how do we know these news sources are actually telling the truth? How can we be sure they're not just making stuff up or pushing an agenda? Well, my skeptical friend, that's where ethical guidelines and journalistic standards come in. These are the rules of the road for journalists, the principles they're supposed to uphold to ensure accuracy, fairness, and, basic journalistic integrity. We're talking about things like the BBC's strict guidelines on impartiality, the USA Today network's commitment to fact-checking and corroboration, and Reuters' emphasis on transparency and sourcing. These guidelines, while not always perfectly adhered to, we're looking at you, CNN, provide a framework for responsible journalism. Of course, these are just a few examples. Different news organizations have different guidelines, but the core principles remain the same. Tell the truth, be fair, be accurate, and be accountable. But here's the thing. Even with these guidelines in place, we live in a world where misinformation is rampant. It spreads like wildfire on social media, fueled by algorithms designed to keep us engaged, even if that engagement comes at the cost of truth. From fabricated news articles to doctored images and videos, misinformation has become a plague on our information ecosystem. It's eroding trust in traditional media, fueling political polarization, and even inciting violence. So, how do we combat this scourge of falsehoods? It's a complex issue, but media literacy is key. We need to be critical consumers of information, questioning what we see and read, cross-referencing sources, and being wary of anything that seems too good or too bad to be true. Section 5. Bias in the news. Can we ever truly be objective? Now, even if we manage to dodge the landmines of misinformation, there's another challenge lurking in the shadows of News America bias. Bias is not always blatant. It can be subtle, almost invisible, but it's always there, shaping the narrative in ways we might not even realize. Let's be real, folks. Complete objectivity is a myth. Every piece of news we consume is filtered through layers of human perception and interpretation. We all have our own perspectives, our own experiences that shape how we see the world. These personal lenses influence not just how we interpret news, but also how news is reported. And journalists, despite their best efforts, are no different. They bring their own backgrounds, beliefs, and biases to the table, consciously or unconsciously. Bias can creep into news coverage in subtle ways, from the choice of words to the framing of a story. Even the decision of what stories to cover and which to ignore can reflect underlying biases. It can be influenced by a news organization's ownership, its target audience, or even the political leanings of its journalists. These factors can subtly shape the news agenda and the way stories are presented. The key is to be aware of these biases, to recognize that no news source is completely immune to them. Awareness is the first step towards critical consumption of news. By consuming news from a variety of sources with different perspectives, we can start to piece together a more complete and nuanced understanding of the issues. This approach helps us to see beyond the biases and get closer to the truth. Section 6. Digital disruption. The rise of new platforms. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather, the algorithm in our pockets, digital platforms. The internet, for all its flaws, has democratized information in ways we couldn't have imagined a few decades ago. It's given rise to new forms of journalism, citizen journalism, and online-only news outlets that challenge the dominance of traditional media. But this digital revolution has also brought its own set of challenges. The rise of social media has created echo chambers where people are only exposed to information that confirms their existing beliefs. And the decline of traditional revenue models in journalism has led to concerns about the financial sustainability of quality news. So, while the internet has undoubtedly disrupted the news landscape, it's up to us to navigate this new terrain with a critical eye and a healthy dose of skepticism. Section 7. AI and the future of news opportunities and challenges. Hold on to your hats, folks, because the future of News America might be more automated than a self-driving car dealership. That's right, we're talking about artificial intelligence, or AI. AI is already being used in newsrooms to automate tasks, personalize news feeds, and even generate basic news reports. And while this technology has the potential to make journalism more efficient and accessible, it also raises a whole host of ethical concerns. For example, how do we ensure that AI-generated news is accurate and unbiased? How do we prevent AI from being used to spread misinformation, or create deepfakes that are indistinguishable from reality? These are questions we need to grapple with as AI plays an increasingly prominent role in News America, because as with any powerful technology, it has the potential for both good and bad. Section 8. News America's impact shaping public discourse and politics. Now let's talk about the impact of all this. Because News America doesn't exist in a vacuum. It shapes our understanding of the world, influences our opinions, and even plays a role in shaping political and social events. Think about it. How many times have you changed your mind about an issue after reading a news article or watching a news segment? How many times has a news story sparked a national conversation or even a social movement? News America has the power to inform, to inspire, and to instigate change. But it also has the power to mislead, to divide, and to perpetuate harmful stereotypes. That's why it's so important to be critical consumers of news, to question what we read and hear, and to be aware of the biases and agendas that might be at play. Section 9. Conclusion. The importance of media literacy. So there you have it, folks. A whirlwind tour of News America, from its major players and ethical guidelines to the challenges of misinformation, bias, and the rise of new technologies. It's a complex and ever-evolving landscape, but one that we all need to navigate if we want to be informed and engaged citizens. The key takeaway? Media literacy is more important than ever. We need to be critical thinkers, questioning what we see and read, and seeking out diverse perspectives. Because in the age of information overload, it's not just about finding the news, it's about understanding it. And that's the real story here.